Hello and welcome to our live score bet Formscan show. And I've got a special guest this weekend for a big weekend of racing at the Curragh and Leopardstown starting on Saturday, of course, and the St. Leger in the UK. I've got Donn McClean with me. Donn, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Vincent. Yeah, no, what a weekend ahead. Irish Champions weekend. I'm still struggling with the Irish Champions Festival a bit, but that's what it is. And there's a Leger in Britain. But yeah, look, fantastic racing here at Leopardstown on Saturday and the Curragh on Sunday. So yeah, looking forward to it, lads.
It should be great going through this. So we're going to start off, go through mainly the great Group 1 races, and then we'll track back, look at some of the other races and any key clashes we can see. And then a nap of the day from each of us, and hopefully we'll tip a few winners. All right, we'll start off with Saturday at Leopardstown. We get stuck into the Matron Stakes as the first of the Group 1 races. And an interesting filly here for me, Don, is Jancis. I'm very impressed with her on both starts for William McCreary, but a little bit surprised to see Declan McDonough is in the saddle rather than stable jockey Billy Lee rides Vespertilio. What did you make of this one, Don?
Yeah, I was surprised as well, really. I actually backed Jancis a little while ago for the race, so I was a little bit disappointed that Billy Lee chose to ride Vespertilio. Look, Declan McDonough, she's not going to lack from the saddle, but the fact that Billy has chosen to ride Vespertilio, that's obviously a little bit of a concern. Vespertilio, she's a high-class filly, but Jancis, yeah, like what she did in those two races over not over the distance, but over the course, over 7 furlongs, like when she won her maiden back in June, she was a 40-1 shot. So I'm just kind of maybe hoping that she's not impressing at home, as maybe she wasn't impressing at home then, and allowed to go up at 40-1. But the way she travelled through a race and to win that and winning that maiden, and the way she picked up, that was impressive. And then next time in the Brownstown Stakes, up in grade into a Group 3 race, that was a big performance as well. Very, very similar to the style with which she won her maiden. She was just anchored in behind by Billy Lee, and she picked up well, showed that turn of foot again. The third filly, Special One of Pat Foley, she went and won there at Kentucky Downs. Brilliant win for Pat Foley. Great spot by him to bring her over there and win in America. But that didn't do any harm to the form of Jancis race. And look, I suppose it's the unknown factor, isn't it, Vincent? It's we just don't know how good she could be. She's stepping up and trip by a furlong, but that should be fine on breeding. And definitely you wouldn't have thought that she wouldn't get further than 7 furlongs given the way that she finished off her race. It's got a nice draw in stall 6. So look, it's I was a bit surprised that when Billy Lee rode Vespertilio, for all that Vespertilio is not without a chance, but I think Jancis has that kind of unknown factor. So look, great that William McCreary has 2 big chances in the race. He won it 10 years ago at Fisalana. And yeah, he can be really optimistic, I think, going into the race. But it's a really interesting race, isn't it? With Porta Fortuna, like she deserves her place at the top of the market, I think.
Yeah, well, like Jancis is, as much as she's exciting, she's still got a fair bit to find with the 2 main protagonists, Porta Fortuna and Fallen Angel. Fallen Angel, of course, very good performance back in the last day, and also one here as a 2-year-old as well, as far as I remember. Yeah,
no, exactly. Look, it's good that she's coming over. We haven't seen her since she won the Irish 1,000 Guineas back at the end of May. She's since joined Whatnot Racing, so she'll be racing in new colours. But she's a really exciting filly. And Porta Fortuna, like she was a really fast filly last season. She won the Cheveley Park Stakes, and to be able to be as effective over a mile, or probably even progress over a mile this season, like she ran a massive race in the Guineas at Newmarket, and then went and won the Coronation Stakes, then went back to Newmarket, won the Falmouth at the July course. And after that, Donnacha O'Brien kind of said that the Matron would be her race, and I think maybe she was going to go straight there. So she's a really progressive filly still. She's only 3. Then you've got Ylang coming back as well. She was a top class 2-year-old last season. She hasn't won this season yet at 3. She's going to have to improve a lot from what she did the last time in that Group 3 race at Leopardstown, the Desmond Stakes. But you'd imagine she'll come forward a lot from that. That was her first run back after a break. So she's interesting in there as well. Rogue Millennium as well for Joseph O'Brien. She has to bounce back. But it's a deep race. But as you say, Vinny Jancis has to find an awful lot in terms of what she's achieved. But she's only run twice, and you just don't know where her ceiling is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a big performance here from Rogue. Those Joseph O'Brien have far better the last 2 weeks, haven't they? Lots of big wins.
Yeah, exactly. And like she was obviously a high-profile filly at the start of this season. She was sent off a really short price favourite, on her debut in that Landwide Stud Stakes at the Irish Guineas meeting. She's been kind of running well in defeat without maybe matching the expectations that were there for her at the start of the season. But yeah, wouldn't be surprising to see her run a big race. She is out in stall 10, which probably isn't ideal. It's a wide enough draw, but yeah, like she's an older filly as well, and taking on the 3-year-olds. It is a race in which 3-year-olds do well. 3-year-olds have a really good record in the race, and I suppose that's the, whatever. If a 3-year-old wins it, she'll probably have to put up a career best performance. And there are a couple of 3-year-olds in there who have the potential to take quite a significant step forward, I think, from what they've done so far.
Great stuff. Well, we'll move on to the next one, which is the big race, the 325, the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes. This is interesting in several ways. A lot of people maybe knocking the fact that City of Troy isn't here, which would have obviously really lit up Leopardstown if that was what we had seen here. But we could still have possibly the best 3-year-old in training in this economics. What do you make of it?
Yeah, again, we don't know, do we? We don't know how good he could be. He was so impressive winning Dante. That was a big performance, and they resisted the temptation then to run him in the Derby. I think they took him out of the Derby just before the Dante, and then there was all the talk about whether he was going to be supplemented and put back into it. But look, William Haggis, he took the view that it would just be too much for him going to the Derby, and the fruits of that decision might well be reaped now tomorrow, because he went on and after a break went to Deauville last time, and he was impressive winning that Group 2 race. The runner-up JRB, like he's the Hampton Court winner from Royal Ascot, and he was good in winning the Hampton Court for all that he was a big price, Brian Meehan's horse, and he went clear in the far side in that Deauville race, and Economics was ridden a bit more patiently by Tom Marquand, but he showed it that turn of foot. He got the better of JRB, and the pair of them pulled well clear of their rivals. So it was a good performance by Economics to win like that. You'd imagine he'll come forward again from that. He's only run 4 times in his life, so loads of potential upside to him. And I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision to decide to not run in the Derby, because you win the Dante, you're automatically going to be high in the market for the Derby. And it was obviously a fairly prestigious race to bypass. But William Haggis had the future in mind for him, and yeah, like you can understand why he's at the top of the market. But I think he's going to have to improve again if he's going to beat August Rodin.
Well, of course, we've got a Derby winner here, haven't we? Augustus Rodin. And now, I wasn't there myself, but Emma Nagle was representing us at a Ballydoyle stable visit in advance of this Irish Champions Festival weekend. And by all accounts, Augustus Rodin looked at the picture. He's supposed to be working extremely well. And this is going to be a stepping stone on the way to the Japan Cup. He could be hard to beat at his best, couldn't he?
Yeah, that's it. Like, he won the race last year as well. And yeah, I think the kind of sense from Aidan O'Brien that day, Vinny, was that he was in at least as good a form as he was this time last year, probably even better. And look, he may have to be better if he's going to beat Economics, because it might just be a higher standard of race this season compared to last season's race. But he's got that turn of foot that he showed in the Breeders' Cup turf as well, when he shot through on the inside. And he kind of, I know he won by about half a length, 3 parts of a length last season, but I think he probably had more in hand over Luxembourg than that in the end. And he's a horse who doesn't seem to do a whole lot whenever he gets there. So yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see him put up a career best performance as well, over 10 furlongs on good ground, and back at Leopardstown, where he's been so good in the past.
Yeah, and the other thing here is we've 8 runners, so there's a neat play here potentially. I know nothing about this Japanese horse. Have you any idea? Any chance?
Yeah, look, it's brilliant that he's here, isn't it? It's brilliant that we have a Japanese runner in the race again after Deirdre a few years ago. And his trainer, Mr. Yahagi, he's very obviously he's got the record on the board. He's a real international trainer. He had 2 winners at the Breeders' Cup in 2021. I think they were Japan's first 2 winners, and Japanese horses, they're middle distance horses, they're conquering all around the world these days. So he's of automatic respect. He finished 3rd in the Japanese Derby. He's a full brother to Satsas, who finished 4th in the race a couple of years ago, and then went on and won the Arc. I don't know about you, but I think he might be better over 1.5 miles. I think this might be a race that will bring him forward for the Arc. I can see him running well. in defeat, staying on. I'm not sure that a draw in stall 3 is ideal either. That might be tricky enough for a rider who hasn't any experience of Leopardstown. But I definitely keep an eye on Shin Emperor, maybe with the view to the Arc more than here. But you can see him staying on. Whether he's going to stay on to good enough effect to beat Economics and August Rodin, I'm not certain, but I can see him staying on and running a big Arc trial and then taking another step forward with this race under his belt and stepping up and trip to 1.5 miles for the Arc.
That'll be interesting to watch, all right. And what about Los Angeles? Could you give him a shout?
Yeah, like he'd be favourite for the St. Leger if he was going there. He beat Illinois in the Great Voltager, who is favourite for the St. Leger, his stable companion. I just think that 10 furlongs might be on the sharp side for him. What do you think?
I think you're probably right, yeah. I think that the trip up, he is a course and distance winner now. It is a little bit of a question mark. We might just move across next to the St. Leger at Doncaster and just have a look at that, because it's obviously, there's a lot of links between this and it's the third Group 1 of the afternoon on Saturday. So what about this? Grosvenor Square, a horse maybe potentially going for the Melbourne Cup. I'm not sure what to make of Grosvenor Square, because he was a pacemaker in the Irish Derby, and then he produced an exceptional performance when he just got caught close home by Tower London at the Curragh back in July. And then his most recent display was absolutely jaw-dropping, where he put 20 lengths between himself and some serious horses in behind. What did you make of that? Has he got a chance?
Oh, he definitely has a chance, yeah. No, absolutely. In the Tower of London race, I was sure he was hope. I thought I couldn't see how Tower of London was going to get to him, but get to him he did. But then to go on in the St. Leger trial last time, and yeah, as you say, any jaw dropping really. He's probably going to go forward. It's not a race in which it's easy to make all the running. The St. Leger, they generally tend to come from a wee bit further back, and we know that Doncaster's home straight is a long home straight. They get racing early. It's 1 mile, 6.5 furlongs, and the ground is on the easy side, or it was yesterday. I'm sure it's going to be similar today and tomorrow. So look, he's a player, all right. And Gavin Ryan, who rode him and nearly rode him to perfection in that Curragh Cup, he's back on board. The jockey bookings are interesting, because we knew that the Aidan O'Brien jockeys were going to be split between Leopardstown and Doncaster. I think Wayne Lorden was always riding Illinois. That seemed to always be the plan from early. And you can understand that he ran a big race in the Great Voltager, was only just beaten by the stable companion Los Angeles, and he's the Queen's Vase winner. The Queen's Vase, since it was dropped down in trip to 1.6 miles, it has been a good point to St. Leger. So he's an automatic favourite. John Ruggill is in there as well, unbeaten in 3. He won the Gordon Stakes last time at Goodwood, and that's a good pointer to the St. Leger as well, like the Great Voltager is. You can see him improving for stepping up in trip as well. He's a real stayer, and he's only had 3 runs, so lots more to come from him. And you got to me, the filly. She's an interesting addition to the race, isn't she? She was supplemented to the race earlier this week. I thought she ran a massive race in the Yorkshire Oaks last time. I thought she came on the near side and she was staying on. She got the better of Emily Upjohn out in the centre, and Content, whom she'd beaten in the Irish Oaks, she went the inside route under Ryan Moore, and she couldn't get back at her. She only went down by 3/4 of a length to her, though. So yeah, I can see you got to me maybe as well, improving for a step up in distance.
She's a tendency to be very free in her races, hadn't she, earlier in the season, particularly? And then you've got Grosvenor Square is going to go off like a hare. So it's hard to know what way this is going to work out. The pace is going to be the big issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think since they fitted a tongue tie to her and maybe ridden her in behind, I think they rode her patiently in the Irish Oaks. I'm not certain it was the plan, but that's the way it ended up. And Hector Crouch delivered her with a really well-timed run and had enough in hand to withstand the lunge of Content then after her. And again, last time in the Yorkshire Oaks, she was ridden just a bit more, with a bit more patience in behind. So yeah, as you say, Grosvenor Square is probably going to go forward. I'm sure Hector Crouch will try and get cover for You Got to Me. She wears a tongue tie again. Like her 2 runs in the tongue tie, they've been probably the 2 best runs of her life. So I just think she's interesting. The fact they put her in it when they had other options, that's interesting, and they obviously have every confidence that she's going to stay the trip.
Yeah, the other thing you mentioned there is around the jockey arrangements for Aidan O'Brien. He's got 3 runners, obviously, in this. So he needed 3 jockeys. He's got 4 more in one of the races at Leopardstown. So altogether, he needed 7 jockeys to cover himself on Saturday. Still no place for Shamey Heffernan. I can't understand how he doesn't pick up one of the rides somewhere, but that seems to be the case now. And then Sean Levy picking up the ride in Jan Bruegel. That's very nice for him. He's a good guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And interesting, he rode January in the Mayhill yesterday, didn't he? She stayed on really well.
And ended up the shorter price of the 2 Ballydoyle runners in the race. The one that Ryan Moore opted for went down its knees coming out of stalls, which wasn't a help, I suppose. One to watch the next day, I would have thought.
Yeah, no, that you can definitely give Ecstatic a pass for that race, because she did well to even run any kind of race after that, I thought. But no, it was significant that it did look like Ecstatic was the number 1, but the money came for Sean Levy's filly in the end, and she ran well. Yeah, she was only just beaten.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him ride a big race winner for them now. Anyway, we'll move back to Leopardstown, I suppose. Any other fancies from you on the day? Any other races you'd like to look at? One of them in particular I thought was a bit disappointing. Is it where are we? Wait till I go back to find the right race now. Will be the pointer. 4 runners in the Juvenile Stakes. That has to be a disappointment, doesn't it? But I suppose there's 2 similar races, isn't there? One Saturday, one Sunday. The one on Sunday is over 7 furlongs. This one over a mile. I just thought it's a little bit disappointing. We've got 4 runners, and one of them is a Roscommon winner. And where did the other one win? Gordon Park or somewhere, was it, for a maiden? I can't remember now where Dundalk, of course, Bernard Shaw. 10 to 1 on that thing. I wouldn't mind that betting. That's not relevant here. We're just using SBK, who are one of those exchange betting, so it wouldn't really be irrelevant prices. What did you make of this, Don, about the fact we've only 4 runners in the race?
Yeah, it is a pity, and it's a good point you make, Vinny, that the National Stakes are Group 1 over 7 furlongs. This is a Group 2 over a mile. You can understand, I'm sure lots of horses had the option of both. But no, it is disappointing that we only have 4 runners, and it's a race that it's been, the field sizes have been quite small in the last 2 years. There were 7 runners last year, 5 the year before, and a decent field the year before that. But yeah, it's there's only a finite number of high class juvenile colts to go around, and they have to fit into these 2 races. Plus the autumn program that's coming up, all the juvenile races coming up ahead of us. But it's a rematch, isn't it, between Delacroix and Green Impact. Green Impact, whenever he won at Leopardstown and beat Delacroix, he won on merit. I thought Delacroix just showed signs of greenness, and that was Green Impact's second run. It was Delacroix's racecourse debut. Then Delacroix came out next time and won his maiden at the Curragh, so he came forward from that. He'll probably come forward again. He was still a wee bit green the last day, I thought, at the Curragh. So they put Delacroix in as favourite in front of Green Impact, Jessica Harrington's filly, colt. So it's just, for me, it's a rematch between the 2 of them. Bernard Shaw was impressive winning at Dundalk, as you said, at odds on at their 15th of August meeting. So he kind of looks like the second Aidan O'Brien horse. Ryan Moores and Delacroix, Declan McDonough and Bernard Shaw. So look, it's not a betting race for me, Vinny. It's a race to watch and try and learn something. But there's not much between Delacroix and Green Impact, I would have thought.
No. And what about the other races? Anything else that struck your fancy as a betting race, particularly?
The Solonaway Stakes is probably the most interesting race. Diego Velasquez is in there. He was really good in winning the Mel Stakes last time at Leopardstown, beating Tarawa. And he's obviously the KPNG winner from last year, so we know that he goes well at this time of year over the course and distance as well. So he's favourite. I'd love to see Mutasarraf getting in among them here. He's such a likeable horse. He won the Group 3 race the last day. Saw off Mountain Bear. Mountain Bear, he's an interesting character, isn't he? On his day, he's very good, and I thought he did well the last day in the Desmond Stakes to come from a fair way back off what wasn't a very strong pace and get as close to Mutasarraf as he could. And he's got the potential to improve again from that. And Lord Massus is in there as well. If the reins came a little bit, he's a horse who, he's often an underrated horse, I think, Joe Murphy's horse. So, look, I can see why Diego Velasquez is favourite. I'd love to see Mutasarraf running well. And I can see maybe Mountain Bear and Lord Massus is running well enough at decent prices. What about you?
Yeah, I don't like the shape of this race, I have to say. It wasn't one for me particularly. I thought some of the handicaps later on myself were more interesting. There's one in particular I fancy a horse in it. Wait till I find the race now. It's the 435. This Patengo handicap or Patinko handicap, there's a lot of horses I like in here. A lot of horses I've been watching. This Eagles Way, I thought he only won narrowly in Galway, but I think this is a fair horse in very good form in the UK before he joined Bill Durkin as well. He's one for me. I think he's going to make a cracking hurdler when they finally sort that out. I think he's only had the one run over hurdle so far, maiden in Punchestown, was it? Yeah, back in June, finished 6th to 22. But I think there's definitely days in him. But the one I really like here, it's a hot race, but the one I really like is Nürburgring. He could be anything. He still could be anything because he was a fair juvenile hurdler. Then, of course, he ramped home in the Galway hurdle. Now, perhaps it was a funny race with the dodgy start to that race as well. But he won impressively. He's up to 150 now over hurdles. So he is actually 60 pounds lower on the flat, which seems astonishing, really. He should surely be able to make his mark here off 90, I would have thought. What did you make of this one?
Yeah, look, it's a fascinating race. There's so many strands to take out of it. Both, yeah, and you have to look at National Hunt form as well. But no, I wouldn't disagree with the Nürburgring. I think there's more to come from him over hurdles as well this season. Actually, I'm looking forward to the season ahead with him if they continue down the hurdles route. And yeah, Eagles Way, really good horse for the Durkins. Made all the running when he won that 1.5 handicap at the Galway Festival on soft ground. He's interesting as well. Chemistry as well was got the race in the steerage room against kinesiology the last day, which he's a horse who just had 3 runs.
Form, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Look, he's got a mark of 100 3-year-old in this, so taking on the older horses, he's probably going to have to step forward again, but he's got any amount of potential to improve again. You've got a lot of joy in there who. For Willie Mullins, like she was obviously as a juvenile hurdler, big things expected from her having come off the flat. She won the Swedish St. Leger.
That's right. Yeah. Interesting jockey booking there too. Billy Loughnane.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, man up riding for Willie Mullins. But no, it's a fascinating race. There's lots of strands to it.
Yeah. So looking back over Saturday as a whole, what will be your nap of the day if you had to pick one out for me?
Chances in the Matron Stakes, yeah, stick with her.
Wow.
For all that, we've got a bit of a curveball with Billy Lee riding Vespertilio instead. But look, I just think she's. I think her potential upside is greater than her price has allowed. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to her too. I'm surprised now that we're on the same page there because I was really looking forward to seeing her and. The jockey booking is the one big negative, isn't it? If it just seems astonishing to me that Billy Lee has gone the other way, but obviously there's reasons for it, and they'll probably become very apparent on Saturday afternoon. For me, I'm going to go Nürburgring. Really think has to be involved here off 90 each way, probably 4 or 5 places, with most of the bookmakers. So I think Nürburgring is big as about 7 to 1. I think at the moment each way that'll do me. Maybe an each way double the 2. You'd never know. Anyway, Don, thanks for that. We're going to wrap up here now from Saturday. We'll have another show all about the Sunday meeting at the Curragh. So thanks for watching. Do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already so you get notifications when the shows come out. And do gamble responsibly, which is most important. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.